want to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order, and the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the, oh, no, roll calls first. I'm sorry.
Kowal. Here. Zach.
Here.
Lund.
Here.
Taub.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Woodward. Quarles. Here. Middleton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Next is Pledge Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is, I need a motion to approve the minutes of May 10th, 2018.
Oh, nice to see
Zach
you.
moved them. Fleming supported it.
Me too.
Any questions on the minutes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next is a presentation of the agenda. We're going to remove item number 6. And we have a walk-on, which will be item number 15. But we're going to take it up between item number 13 and 14.
No.
Because
I'm totally confused.
okay, we're adding an item number 15,
Okay.
and then we will take it up after item 13 so that they don't have to sit around all the time. And they've
Just
got an
tell us.
So it's going to
appointment.
be number 14, actually.
Right.
Yeah, but
Adding 15, it's going to be 14. Well, this is great.
okay, but it'll be listed as item number 15. Okay, any other changes to the agenda?
No.
If not, I need a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Okay.
Oh, Shelley is moving it, Fleming is supporting the amendment, the agenda as amended. Oops. And I forgot to tell Jamie that we had started, but we're good now. So we have a motion to accept the agenda. Any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I forgot to signal to Jamie that we had started the meeting, but one of the reasons we've changed back is Jamie just can't handle the glare off the top of my head when I'm sitting down. So that's one of the reasons we're down this way. So, okay, now we'll move on. Any public comment? Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the Finance Committee this morning? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and we'll move to communications.
Contingency.
Oh, we got a contingency report. Need a motion to receive and file the contingency report. Colwell and Taub. So go ahead.
Okay, page 1 of the document, which is PDF page 25. We're starting today's meeting with general contingency balance of $50,294. There are no items on today's agenda that impact that general contingency balance. On page 7 of the document, which is PDF page 31, the second quarter forecast adjusts the grant balance or grant match line item by $524,670. And on the equity report, which is starting on page 11, PDF page 35, we have 4 tri-party items on today's agenda that total $155,457. On the next page, we have local road improvement project for the amount of $133,215.
Okay, that's page 36, right?
Correct. And also on page 36, you have a blue copy that's been handed out to you. For the walk-on item, there is an additional use of fund balance for the enhancement to the Corporation Council Risk Management Matter Management System in the amount of $37,036.
Okay. So, any other comments on the contingency? On the Westmont Nile virus page, I forget what page number it's on. But those, okay, that's reimbursements, right? The community has to spend the money and then they send in to get reimbursed. Okay, so because I've talked to some townships and they've already done it, and but The paperwork just isn't done. Yeah. So, okay. Is any other questions on the contingency report? If not, all those in favor of receive and file signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, now we're going to go to communications. And we will take communications A through L all at one time. Long is moving it. Woodward is supporting it. Any questions on communications? Seeing none, is that a roll call? All in favor? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay. Now we're on the second page of the agenda, if you have paper. The consent agenda, I'll need a motion to accept the consent agenda. Fleming is moving it, Quarles is supporting it. Any questions on the consent? They're tri-party and local roads, so. If not, call the roll on the consent agenda.
Kowal.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Lon.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Quarles.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Now we're on item number 2, Board of Commissioners, pilot. No, we've done that one. Okay, item number 3. Okay. I don't know if you have it on the iPad or not, but I have to set a public meeting for the pilot local road improvement program. The public hearing will be held at the Board of Commissioners meeting on Thursday, June 13th at 7 p.m.
That's actually my Wednesday.
Oh, another typo, sorry.
Okay.
Didn't catch that one.
So it's Wednesday
Pam did it.
at 7 p.m. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to do that again. A public hearing will be held at the Board of Commissioners meeting on Wednesday, June 13th, 2018 at 7 p.m. for the Local Road Improvement Project 2018-32, and that's item 2. So that announcement's been made, and we'll have the public hearing at the next board meeting. So, okay, now we're on item number 3. Sheriff's Office. 2018 Marine Safety Program grant acceptance, and that was reviewed by Public Service. Taub is moving it. Long is supporting it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know the real reason you moved back is because Dale Cunningham's gone and won't be making a lot of noise.
Who makes all the noise?
Cunningham.
And I'll see Dale sometime and mention that you will.
Please do.
I don't think he's watching, Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say, he's watching.
There wasn't any one reason, there was a lot of reasons. So go ahead, though, on
Okay, so this is our annual marine safety grant where we get the short end of the stick from the state of Michigan every year. You may have seen there was an article in the Oakland Press last week. There's about 900,000 registered boats in the state. About 84,000 of those are Oakland County boats. The next closest is Macomb at 50-some thousand. Been through this before. Shelley knows, Tom, you know, Eileen, all of you served in the legislature, and and Dave, that tried to change it, but it just doesn't happen. So
Nancy also.
Well, I'm sorry, Nancy. I apologize. you all tried. No. Who Crawford? Sorry. Well, how about who hasn't served in the legislature? Yeah.
Fleming and Zach are the only ones you can't blame for not getting in.
Okay, there you go. He said that.
Long. Okay.
So anyway, this is what we're getting, and there's a little match to it too. I could repeat the story, but the formulas, there is no formula. The DNR gets to decide. There's about, $2.5 to $3 million available in marine safety grants, and these are the crumbs we get. So we're asking you to accept it.
Okay. If there's no other question, is there any questions on item number 3? If not, call the roll.
Zach.
Yes.
Lon.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Quarles.
Yes.
Kowal.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next is Sheriff's Office, item number 4, Sheriff's Office fiscal year 2018, Oakland County Gang and Violence Crime Safety Street Task Force grant acceptance. And Zach is moving it, Fleming is supporting it.
We have 2 deputies assigned to the FBI task force that's here on campus. If you'll recall, the board, with the blessing from the county executive's office, we put together a FBI secure facility here on campus. There are, FBI runs the task force. We have 2 deputies and a sergeant and a deputy. I believe Bloomfield Township's in it, Southfield's in it, Troy's in it, and Madison Heights is in it. And they work multi-jurisdictional and complex crimes, assisting any police agency in Oakland County. Very successful. The county fronted the money. The feds did pay us back on the capital costs. This particular grant is for overtime for up to $18,000 of overtime reimbursable. Of course, they have to work it in order to get it. They don't just get $18,000 in overtime. So all the other task force members get the same thing. And we're asking for the acceptance of this grant.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, Todd? Oh, no, not, okay. Item number, call the roll on item number 4.
Long,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item number 5, Parks and Rec Commission 2018 Fair Food Network Double Up Food Bucks Grant Acceptance. Crawford is moving it, Long is supporting it. So,
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Stenzel, Executive Officer for Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission. This is a $15,000 grant from the Fair Food Network out of Ann Arbor, a nonprofit organization that provides matching funds for SNAP participants, and it allows them to acquire fresh fruits and vegetables at the county market. The funds are used to reimburse the vendors, so there's also an economic impact to the program.
okay, Commissioner Taub, you have a question?
Yeah, the health department also does something like this. Is this the same thing?
Well, we're part of the Oakland County Healthy Initiative.
Right.
And
Okay, so this is the same, Kathy, it's the same thing. And we've doubled the amount that we're getting? I think that's wonderful.
There's no applicants for it, but and part of our partnership was making sure somebody got it.
Okay, so this is double the amount we used to get?
yeah, and is this the second or third year, I want to say, that we've
Yeah,
been
okay.
able to leverage these dollars?
Well, I was hoping there was more money, but I guess it's the same old grant. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have we been able to do an analysis of the economic impact and the people served, and as a result of in past year stuff? I know that I think a couple of years ago was the first time we did it, and I've been a huge champion of doing this and doing more of this. Have we been able to do that yet?
So in order to qualify for that, you have to have
Thank you.
if you're a WIC participant, you've already been through an economic assessment in order to qualify for the program.
No, I'm not saying the economic qualification to participate. I'm talking about the aggregate economic impact. So
Of
the
the
economic impact
of the vendors and what they've sold?
Yes. No,
Yeah, we've worked with MIFMA, which is a state association for markets, and they have done an analysis. I think the last one was done in 2012, just shortly after we started, and I think it's we're planning to have another one done every 5 years, so we're right in the middle of it right now. But there's a significant impact, I can say that. I can't quantify it today for you.
Okay. And I guess the other question, and just given the partnership with Health Division, I know that there are other farmers markets in the area that also provide a comparable program. I don't know if there's economies of scale to help ramp that up. I know smaller farmers markets don't have necessarily the capacity to, there's
No.
paperwork that's involved in the.
And we collaborate with all of them and help them with, getting started in terms of process and so on. And we've most recently worked with having a rotating market amongst 5 or 6 South Oakland communities. Yeah, yeah.
So Healthy Oakland Partnership, which is a Health Division collaboration, has a whole team that dedicated to bringing all of these markets in Oakland County together. And thankfully, Parks has really played a strong leadership role to all of these. And they really went first and led the charge in a number of things, including getting ABT card readers in the markets and how to go about doing it, because it is complex. And we've been together teaching them how that is done, and all of the markets are working very collaboratively.
Great, no, I mean, it's great to hear. I mean, if there's a way to get data of how many people are taking advantage of it, what communities, I mean, what residents are being able to take advantage of it, aggregate data.
Actually, that's something ACO should be able to do quite easily with on their food policy council.
Excellent.
Okay. Any other questions on item 5? If not, call the roll on item number 5.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6 was eliminated from the agenda, so we will move to item number 7. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Division, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, 2018 Childhood Lead Exposure Elimination Innovation Grant acceptance. Zach is moving it, and Kowal is supporting it. And that's a long name. But go ahead. Well, we got it on the table. We're
Yes.
ready to discuss it.
So, good morning. This grant is a $75,000 grant to really increase the comprehensive lead testing that occurs in Oakland County, really between the ages of 9 months and 3 years. That's the focus area that we're looking at. This will fund one part-time health educator that will really go out and try to educate physicians about the importance of testing for lead, especially in that age group, and also work with the CVTs to explain lead hazards in the community. So that health educator will also create toolkits for both physicians that we can leave at the facilities, and also with CVTs to help as we move forward.
Okay, I have Tom, Kowal, and Zach.
Okay, so are we going to, or is your health educator going to hospital staff meetings? Because that's where you gather the most numbers of physicians, because they're required to attend staff meetings.
We are going to look at that, like where are the best opportunities for us to get the most physicians or pediatricians is really what we're going to be focusing on to try to get.
We need family doctors too, I would
Family
suggest.
doctors.
Okay,
Yes.
now, what about the testing? We used to have a grant for testing lead, I think it was in Pontiac, if I'm not mistaken, and possibly Hazel Park. Do we still have those things?
I don't think so. I think we lost that grant.
Yeah, primarily we have it depends on what kind of testing you're talking about. Are you talking about environmental testing or
Lead paint.
level? Pardon?
The lead paints.
Yeah, so what we do is every time there's a lead poisoned child, a public health nurse is assigned to them, and they do an assessment to find an environmental source. And primarily, to be honest, in the last several years, every single case has been tied to imported foods, imported spices, imported
Really?
religious
Wow.
powders, things like that. We also know that if testing were greater, we anticipate that we will see more lead paint being the source. And so that's one of the reasons why we're very anxious to increase the blood level testing. And to answer your question, do we receive funding for that? We are reimbursed for certain activities, environmental activities that are done in the home. Now, if the nurse doesn't find a source, such as food or what have you in the home, we can go out and do some environmental testing. We have qualified lead inspectors on our staff, and we can receive a certain amount of reimbursement for the activities, and includes soil testing, paint testing, etc.
Okay, so now I'm hearing, probably maybe heard once before, that there's lead in food or spices are imported. So where's the FDA on this?
Well, here's the thing, when families visit overseas or come here, it's real easy to tuck away a few spices that are
Okay.
important to that family and to that culture. And that's primarily where it's seen.
So is it possible to identify which group or cultures are doing this and then maybe give some type of discussion at the church?
Yeah, that's another difficult thing, is that it is across many cultures. So we see it
Wow.
from India, Middle East, Eastern European, many.
So maybe we need to have some kind of a program or some sort of service announcements.
You won't be able to buy it here. It's not something that is sold here unless,
I am certain that if parents knew that this stuff was poisoning their kids, they wouldn't be doing it. I don't care what culture they're in or what church they go to, or mosque or synagogue or
It's
whatever.
something they've utilized for generations in their families, and so it takes a certain amount of finesse for our nurses to be able to have families open up to them about what they're utilizing in their cooking, and a lot of education to try to help them understand. But they've been very successful.
Could it be their cooking vessels as well?
Pardon?
Could it be their cooking vessels, the pots and pans?
Well, that's always looked at, but we haven't found that.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kowal and then Commissioner Zach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner asked my questions, and they've been answered. I was just interested in the spices and the foods, but knowing that we can't actually buy them here. They're just, people bring them in, so.
That's always looked at when
Yeah.
it's discovered. but
Yeah, all right.
It's not been found.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Zach.
This is a little bit off track but related to lead. There was the political initiative of changing the water testing and ignoring other public health. Is there any update on that legislative process? Because it does relate to it.
Sitting in the JCAR committee, and we're waiting to see what happens there. We've been working collaboratively with the Water Resources Commission, working very hard to try to stall or not have those rules go through, because there's absolutely no emphasis on the primary causes for lead testing, and we're very concerned that when water's tested in a home, it doesn't actually tell you if that's a contaminated water source. It more likely is telling you that you might have a faucet that has a problem.
Well, and we just had a scare where a school had water sent out for testing, and they found
Yeah.
out that it was in the beakers that it wasn't collected.
And that
So-
was mercury.
Yeah,
But many,
but
many-
still, the same, but the same type of thing that if you haven't got complete control of the whole system, you can get false readings.
Exactly.
Okay, Commissioner Zach, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Okay, then Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, and our health department did an incredible job in this arena. Stepping into leadership here is great. My question is, like, are any of these resources available to be used to implement kind of a model? Obviously, our lab capacity, technology and other things, to be able to do more in-house testing of water, those types of things. But I know that about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, and explored the idea of figuring out a mechanism to help school districts test water in their individual schools. And I believe, I think it was the city of Detroit, under the health director at the time, trying to develop a model that was fairly low cost, that I think is being replicated around the country as a model, as a way to help identify problems in a scientific way and what have you. Are we looking to use these resources to help do that? I mean, I know there's not a huge amount of resources, so I think we can manage expectations, but is there a way, are we looking at partnering with our school districts to figure out a way to help support them in the testing of school water?
We have been working with our school districts for the last couple of years, really trying to help educate them on proper ways to test in their schools. They also are finding that it's a faucet issue, and it's been frustrating for them because everyone has to send the testing off to the states. There is a lag time, and that's problematic for people when you're trying to get up through a process. So we're happy to say our lead analyzer is up and ready to start running soon. As soon as we establish our fees, we're ready to go. And we are setting our fees at very low cost.
Great to hear that, and it's a faucet issue and drinking fountain issue, which is sadly the Lord help address. Just saying. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Tom.
Yes.
For a second time.
I'm sorry, but is the health department or do private physicians have to do this testing for lead, the lead test on children?
The health division is not required to. It's really.
Do you
supposed-
do it?
Do we do it?
Yeah.
Lead or blood or water sampling?
Blood.
Blood, yes. We currently, no, do we have any right now?
Right now,
No, we do not. Yes, we do. We do it at community events right now when we're requested. I know we recently did one, I think in Pontiac. So when requested to do, we have some blood analyzers that we can take out in the field that we can do. But what we're looking at here would just be, again, educating the community about the
All right,
importance
what
of
is the
it.
cost of doing that test?
You know what, I
Anybody?
don't have that exact cost,
Okay.
but we could get that back to you. I think it's under $2 a person. It's really not that expensive,
well, and
so.
that's for a wave test, and
Right.
it requires a Venus confirmatory test,
Right.
which.
Okay,
there
I got it.
lies
So
the
if you
cost.
find what you think is lead, then they would have to
Right.
further,
Right.
okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions on item number 7? If not, call the roll.
Taub,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, thank you. Motion carried. Item number 8, Department of Health and Human Services Health Division Amendment Number 1 to the interlock agreement with the Oakland Community Health Network for Substance Use Disorder Prevention. Need a motion. Fleming is moving it, or Quarles is supporting it. So, go ahead.
Go ahead. You want me to? Go
Oh,
ahead. Okay.
In general government, well, I'll ask Chris first. Chris, was there was the vote unanimous in this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is a continuation grant that we have had for a few years now, and this is to provide curriculum regarding substance use disorder prevention programming in schools and at community events. This will fund 2 full-time health educators that, again, are in the schools delivering this curriculum and also in the community. You may have heard some of these programs like Life Skills. We also provide some parent programs in the community, Safe Dates, and also projects called Photo Voice projects, which I know we have talked about in the past. So,
Okay, any questions on item number 8? If not, call the roll.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
thank you.
Item number 9, Department of Public Services, Community Corrections, Michigan Department of Corrections, Office of Community Corrections, Comprehensive Plan and Application for Fiscal Year 2019. And Crawford is moving it, Taub is supporting it. So, go ahead.
Good morning, Barb Hankey. I'm the manager of Community Corrections. This is the application for fiscal year 19 Community Corrections budget from the state. We are here with the resolution, as resolution is required under the statute for the application. For next year, we're asking just over $1.7 million, which is $117,000 more than we received this year.
Okay, any questions? It passed Human Resources unanimous yesterday. What about Public Service? Who's on Public Service? Okay, it was unanimous also. Yep. Okay, if there's no other questions, call the roll on item number 9.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barb. Next is Department of Facilities Management, performance resolution for governmental agencies to request state highway right-of-way permit for the Michigan Department of Michigan Department of Transportation. Need a motion? Quarles is moving it, Kowal is supporting it. So, go ahead.
Good morning, Paul Zackos, Property Management Facilities with Jason Warner, Supervisor. And this is a county's had a resolution to get approval for an MDOT permit. And the county owns property on Cesar Chavez, that's where the Materials Management Building is. The parking lot needs to be repaved. And this is part of the CIP budget for this year, which I guess facilities will be presenting later. Planning and engineering has hired PEA for this engineering on this, and part of this repaving is the entrance aprons, and that is the state highway, so MDOT requires a permit. So MDOT has their own form. This is part of the resolution that we need to get approved, and the resolution is requesting the board give approval of this permit application.
Okay, so it's only from the edge of the road to where their easement comes.
Basically, when we're working the contractor will be working in the right of way. That's the permit that's needed.
Okay.
That's for that portion, and it's good for any county property in the future too.
Okay. Any questions on item number 10? If not, call the roll.
Quarles?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
you.
Next is item number 11, Planning and Engineering, Sheriff's Office, additional renovation to the Patrol Service Building exterior project. Need a motion. Fleming is moving it, Taub is supporting it. And Public Services, or Planning and Building, Hugh, are you on Planning and Building?
Yes.
You've been busy this week.
Yes.
You have that passed unanimous?
Yes,
Item
it
number
did.
11.
And so did item 12.
Okay. Okay, go ahead then.
All right, good morning. Ed Joss, Manager of Facilities Planning and Engineering. I don't know how far back it was, but a while ago there was a resolution to make some improvements to our Patrol Services building. Patrol Services is the old Boy Scouts building, which is right across the street from the Oakland County Credit Union. So we did make some improvements to that building, to the exterior of it, some much needed ones, as I think everyone knows. The boys, like I mentioned, the Boy Scouts occupied that building for a very long time, and it was in need of some maintenance. So we started taking the building apart on the exterior and started to make some improvements. And when we did, we found a major issue with the roof that was covered that we were unaware of. The roof wasn't constructed like it should have been originally, and it was starting to pull apart, and we're actually quite thankful that it didn't fall in. But with that, it's going to require some additional funding, just over $19,000. Not a lot of money, but the money would come from the capital improvement program, our miscellaneous line item. So because of that, it requires your review and approval. With that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions? If not, call the roll on item number 11.
Kowal?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Quarles?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Next is item number 12, Facilities Management, Planning and Engineering, Children's Village Life Safety Enhancement Project. Need a motion. Cobb and Colwell. Okay, go ahead, Dark.
The Children's Village campus, just like all of our buildings, is subject to building codes that establish parameters for exit signs, egress paths for fire exiting, emergency lighting, door swings. And whenever we do a renovation project, we obviously make sure that we're adhering to all codes at that time. We have some very old buildings on campus, including a few up on Children's Village campus. And we wanted to take, I should say about a year ago, we decided we needed to take a holistic view of life safety and the building codes. And so what we did, let me back up a step, to make sure that not only in these individual pockets where we know we're adhering to codes, but that when we did those individual projects, we didn't accidentally throw something else off the building code compliance. So we're taking a holistic view. About a year ago, we hired an architect, James Renault, who has been very instrumental in helping establish building codes in the state of Michigan, to go through all of our buildings and assess what we need to do. So since the Children's Village is a 24/7 set of buildings, that's the first area we're going to approach with this project. There'll be other projects that we come to you with starting in 2019. And this project will go through all the buildings except for CVJ and make sure that the fire egress paths are properly marked, we have the proper lighting, we have the proper exit signs, the door swings are in the right direction, and so on. This project's about $120,000. Half of that roughly, 2/3 of that roughly is, no, half of it is with Gamalski, which is an annual competitively bid contractor. About $40,000 is electrical work within our own department, and then there's a $14,000 contingency, and I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Okay, Commissioner Taub has a question.
Okay, Children's Village is a big responsibility for the county, and we have some units such as Mandy's Place. I'm not picking on it, I'm just using it as an example. Now, I know that we have to keep the facility locked. We don't want people coming in off the streets and so on. But in case of a fire and we've got locked doors, what happens then? Are they coordinated with a fire alarm or something so that we can get the children out?
Yeah. So with the exception of J and half of A.
Yeah.
Yes, the locked doors are tied into the fire panels.
Okay.
So that when a fire alarm is pulled, those doors automatically release. The default is open, always open. So an electrical outage or a fire alarm gets pulled, those doors default open. In J and A, which are high security facilities, that's not the case. In that case, I'll let Jody comment, but if I understand correctly, it's the counselors and other staff that are responsible then for escorting the residents to a safe location.
Correct. And our staff secure programs also, we have crash bars, so people can't get in, but the kids and the staff can get out.
Okay.
And then we have doors that are secured that when the fire alarm is pulled, they automatically open. And in control, we have a control station that's manned 24/7, and they have the ability to pop all the doors simultaneously if there were an emergency. And then we also have supervisors with keys that can override the mechanical locking doors.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, you.
Yeah, my question was partially answered by those crash bars, but I wondered if you retrofit the internal doorknobs to like a lever, like a push down, not necessarily crash bars, but.
That is part of this project, and it's interesting that you bring that up because that's an area where ADA requirements overlap life safety requirements. So when you're doing life safety and you're following a path of egress and you're doing your assessment, if you come across a door in the path of fire egress that has the twist knob, that has to be retrofitted out with the handles.
Okay.
If you were doing an ADA assessment as well, the same thing would apply.
Okay.
So yes, in those cases where we don't have door handles, this project will also address that and put the handles on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on 12? If not, call the roll.
Zach?
Yes.
Lund?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Quarles?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item number 13, Board of Commissioners 2018 Parks and Recs Property Tax Levy. Need a motion. Hugh is moving it. Who wants to support that? Chris. Chris will support it. Okay. Who's going to speak on it? Lynn?
Yes. So this is the annual resolution that we bring forth to you so that we can notify the local communities to put this on the December tax levy. The millage rate has been reduced because of the Headley rollback. It's going from 0.2368 to 0.2349. This millage rate of 0.2349 will bring in approximately $13.4 million. Because of the reduction, it equates to roughly $108,000.
Okay.
The county's, on the back of the form, you have the county's millage rate, which will remain at 4.04 mils. That's approved with the General Appropriations Act.
Okay.
So that's why we're only asking for the Parks millage rate to be approved with this resolution.
Okay. Commissioner Fleming?
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Is this the same subject we had a couple of months ago?
No.
This is different. This is new. This is something we do annually. We have to do because the discussion was about what
This is not
is going to be on the ballot in August or December. This is totally different. This is something we approve every year to get them. Thank you.
This is the old one that's already passed.
Yeah, once the millages are passed, the board still has to okay the.
That's what I thought, but I
Yep.
want to make sure we weren't. So, thank you.
Okay. Okay, is there any other questions on item number 13? If not, call the roll.
Long.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Quarles. Yes. Kowal.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next we're going to go to the walk-on item. Item number 15, we're going to take it before 14 because of time consideration. So, and you had 11 o'clock meeting, so we're in good shape.
Thank you. We need a motion.
Go ahead. We need a motion first for this walk-ons. Everybody got a copy, a paper copy? Tob is moving it, and Zach is supporting it.
It says 15. Mm-hmm.
15, it says walk-on.
It says 15, even though it's 14.
Oh, yeah, and there's a blue sheet with it. Has everybody got one? I have one extra. Okay. Okay, go ahead. We got the motion before us.
Thank you very much for letting us walk this on, and thank you to Fiscal Services for the last-minute assistance for this. As you recall, back in March, you approved a new matter management system for our office and risk management. This is being created specifically for us. It's not an or-designed off-the-shelf solution. So as we were discussing with the vendor the workflow for both offices, we learned of additional features that could be built in that would even make the workflow better. For instance, risk management currently has 5 or 6 forms that they're all doing on paper. And then it has to be brought to a supervisor for signature, then it comes in, and risk management has been keeping it in paper. Now these forms can be done electronically, and the beauty of that is the searching that can be done much more efficiently. Recently, there was a lawsuit filed where someone in our office asked risk management for 10 years of data on how many incidents had occurred at this location. He didn't get the answer for 4 days because they had to go through and read each one of these incident reports. Now, this will be in the database. You can just type location and a report will come out and indicate how many incidents had been filed of a property loss or an injury at a specific location. So that will greatly improve information, data, and the invoicing feature will allow, for instance, when law firms bill our office, we will ask them, because we have good relationships with them, please just go fill out this online. And that'll go straight into the database. We'll know what file relates to, what they're charging, It just really improves the workflow for the system and the information that we can get from the system.
Yeah. Phil, go ahead.
So Commissioners, this also leverages the larger platform for our imaging system. And this was another project that you guys had shown great support for and helped approve for the county. We're going to use that same technology for this type of system. We're starting to stretch the ability, and we're starting to change the ability of a technology that we invested in mass for the county to do these types of systems for Corporation Council and whoever else may need them. This is good stuff. This is what we're doing. We're leveraging enterprise platforms to go ahead and do other pieces and change the workflow and change the ability to provide the service. So we're very much in support of this, and we're looking forward to the new types of things that we're going to be able to find for other departments as well.
Phil, I think you kind of look at these projects a lot different than the rest of us.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it as, wow, look at all these things we can do, and we're still scratching our head.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be good for us, but you see it'll even be better for us.
Well, it's innovative. You know,
Yeah.
when you talk about matter management systems and you talk about typical law firm type technologies, they don't do the type of work that this system is going to do. And since we've already invested in the foundational core of it,
Yeah.
to be able to add on these types of technologies and these types of functionalities, it's going to change everything. We're very excited about it.
Any other questions? If not, call the roll on item 15.
Tom?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Crawford's out.
Woodward?
Yes.
Quarles?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Crawford?
I was gonna vote
Middleton?
for you, but I thought.
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank
I know
you.
you told me to vote for you, but I don't.
Okay, now we're going to go back to item number 14. Need a motion to, item number 14 is Department of Management Budget, fiscal year 2018, second quarter financial report and budget amendments. Need a motion. Fleming and Kowal. So go ahead,
And you actually
Lynn.
have a blue sheet within your packet. It's page 6 or PDF, page 767. So I'm just going to start out on the first page here, which is PDF page 762, which is the memo, the transmittal memo to you. So with the second quarter forecast, we are projecting overall favorability of roughly $16.9 million. And that's made up of favorable revenue of almost 2.7 million and favorable expenditures of 14.2 million. So some of the revenue favorability is listed on page 762 of your packet, which includes favorable tax revenue that we're receiving from the state of Michigan on behalf of DNR land. We have some federal grant revenue favorability of roughly $130,000, and that's due to timing of grant receipts for Sheriff and Prosecuting Office. Our state grants are unfavorable, roughly $787,000, and that's a continuing trend. We budget at a higher level for the child care reimbursement, so that revenue unfavorability is offset by child care fund expenditure favorability.
Oh, I see.
And then we have charges for services revenue favorability of roughly $2.8 million, and that a large part of that is in the clerk's office, $1.2 million in recording fees. We have land sale activity of roughly $755,000, outboard and care for child care or Children's Village, roughly $725,000. So with the child care fund, our Children's Village, we will be increasing the revenue for 2019 with the budget process to offset some of the requests that they have. And last, we have on page 763, other revenues favorable, roughly around $326,000, and that's due to an administrative allocation that we're allowed to make with a health grant, the Comprehensive Planning and Budgeting Contracting Grant. So we have to estimate that at the end of the fiscal year, but the grant doesn't close out for a little bit later into December, where our books are already finalized at that point, and this is an adjustment for that administrative allocation. If you refer to page 788 of your packet, that's just the summary report that shows the various departments and where we think they're going to forecast to be at the end of the year. There are 2 departments that are currently forecasted to be unfavorable at the end of the year, and those are noted on page 763 of the transmittal memos. One of them being the sheriff's office, which we've reported in first quarter as well. That's mainly because of their personnel budget, their overtime budget has been elevated the last several years because of staffing issues, vacancies, people on leave. We are going to be, as mentioned with the first quarter forecast, amending their overtime budget to take into consideration some of those operating needs. Obviously, it will not be for the full amount, but it does help with that matter. The other is facilities management. The general fund portion of their budget is unfavorable, projected to be unfavorable $16,000. And we do have a quarterly amendment included in the resolution to adjust this. And what it is there were several PCs that were assigned inadvertently to the FM&O, the Facilities Maintenance and Operations Internal Service Fund. Those should have been assigned to the engineering unit, so it made the IT operations allocation, their budget, to be a little bit off. So we're correcting that with this budget amendment with second quarter forecast, and we're correcting it with the 19 through 21 budget. So as stated, the overall favorability is $16.9 million. We do have projected to use with the budget of roughly $49 million. So we are overall favorable compared to what we planned to use. Moving on to the resolution, the one main item I did want to point out, the blue sheet that you have, the first whereas on page 767 of your PDF packet, it was missing the dollar amount that was recommended for the grant amendment for the airport of $189,000 roughly. That is within 15% of their original grant, which was just over $7 million.
That's on the top line of
Correct.
the page that says, a blue page that says item 14, that 189,000 is in bold, okay?
Yes. So that dollar amount was just missing from the resolution. The only other thing I want to mention also is on that same page. It's the 7th whereas in the resolution. We're amending the fringe benefit fund to remove the $23.8 million budgeted operating line item for the debt service related to the retiree health care bonds. Because of GASB, implementing GASB 75 last year, we are required to report that entire liability within the fringe benefit itself. That will be a liability item, a balance sheet item, versus an operating line item within the revenue and expenditure budget. It does not change the cash flow for the fringe benefit fund. It does not impact the rates. It's just strictly an accounting and reporting requirement.
But the 101,253 is where you're talking, right?
No, I'm talking about the 7th whereas for $23.8 million.
Oh,
Whereas-
okay.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
So that used to be an expense within the fringe benefit fund. It's still a cash outflow. It's just going to be reported on the balance sheet versus the operating statement. It does not change the rates, but it's a large dollar amount. I thought you might be interested
Yep.
to be aware of that. And with that, I will open it up to any questions you have on the packets.
Okay, any questions on item number 14? Yes, Commissioner Top.
I just want to make note that once again, we are writing off close to $1 million. Well, actually, it's not. It's $732,000 of uncollectibles, fixing up people's homes. In addition to that, there is a rental rehab that is being written off. I don't understand why we aren't capable of changing the process, because if we are rehabbing a rental building or apartment buildings, there's no reason why, once the units are rented, that we can't ask. We have to change our process, obviously, for that person or that owner of that apartment building or unit, whatever, to start, once rent starts coming in, to make payments. So I don't understand that. The other thing I don't understand is, and I know it's a teeny tiny amount on page, let's see, page number 856 or page 95, we're writing off a mere $66 for someone whose name is very familiar to me, okay, who resides in the metropolitan area. And I wanted to know, but there's Dan, what is the process when people come in to pay, to camp or to pay park fees? Do we take license plates, numbers?
For camping?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so how can we not find somebody whose license plate number we have, even though it's only $66? There are two people very prominent.
Check.
It was a check?
Yeah, but that was the least we've ever had. We only had one person.
Yeah, but my question is, yeah, those people give you their license plates.
We have a requirement now that they pay for all services ahead of time, and if it's paid with a check, there's something about they can't be within, I think, 14 days. We have a whole cash policy that we've made some changes to tighten that up, so.
Okay, do we take driver's license pictures as well?
Pictures?
Yeah. Well, maybe we ought to take a picture of their driver's license. If they're paying, they have to pay in advance now for campsites, though? Is that it?
If they make a reservation and stuff, that it has to be paid for.
But what if they drive up and want a campsite and you've got 20 open? Do we do anything to assure that their credit cards aren't going to bounce, or their checks aren't going to bounce, or they are who they say they are? Because this particular person, yeah, there are two people with that name, both of one, and it just irks me that I have to pay for somebody's campsite. Sorry. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, yes, Commissioner Zach.
So, I have a question about these home improvement loans, and I do suggest that Commissioner Taub, you serve on the Citizens Advisory Council, that you start looking at policy.
I want to
you know,
respond to this, yeah.
But are we we changed our policy, we started writing these off maybe about 2 years ago, or?
It was like 2012, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we cleaning up the rolls, or is this just an ongoing, or are we?
They were doing some cleanup, but I think a lot of this is more current. It was my understanding that the first quarter was more of the cleanup, and this is ongoing. But we can confirm that with Community Home and Improvement, which one of these are older and to clean up items.
Ask her to come in and talk directly with the finance committee, because we can't answer your question.
On the detail, like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what's the process and why did they get to this on some of these?
I think you could ask for her to come in or have the department and answer your question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Commissioners, I've met with Community Home Improvement on this issue, and this is still the result of the recession. So remember, there's a number of, these all come after the fact. So there was a bunch of loans that were made, and they're writing these off. The trend line is that these will come down dramatically based on the data that I was provided. So I don't believe, if you would like, we could have Carrie come and give an explanation to the Finance Committee, but we're still getting loans out of the recession where people they were not collectible. But we can bring that data in if that would be
And then
helpful.
maybe these were the rising, like, pre-2008 costs of homes and.
I don't know,
Yeah.
remember through the ARRA grants, we had a lot of additional grant money, so maybe it's money that was awarded at that time and now they can't collect, and maybe they're selling the homes, or, I mean, I don't know what the situation is, but it might be related to that bubble of funding that came in during the recession.
But now the trend line is that these are starting to come down.
Well, so
But-
it is ultimately a.
But I will make the request to have Carrie come and give an explanation to the Finance Committee to make sure they understand. Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Taub.
Commissioner Zach, in response, yes, I have been trying to get the data and trying to get the information for the past 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. I have not been successful. I have concerns about the Chodo stuff, the Oakland County Community and Home Improvement, because we have homes in very modest areas whose loans are $25,000. That's probably half the worth of the house. And I get it. I understand people have difficulties. I understand that part too. But why make it a loan if they can't pay it back? What has happened to these properties? What are the addresses of these properties? This is information that Mike Andrews here looked up for us and found, okay, that we were getting all this information until about two and a half
And
years ago.
they came forward and advised that they were told by HUD that they were no longer able to provide that level
That
of detail.
other places, other communities in this state get that exact information. They don't get names, but they get addresses of the facilities. It makes people suspicious that something, and quite frankly, I'm not going to share it with anybody. I just want that information, okay?
I know they can't make it part of the packet, but it's my understanding that Carrie Reed has sent information.
That is not true. I've received this much information since I've requested.
Commissioner,
Yeah.
there were several reports, I personally sent them. So there was reports on all the data, now whether you have the exact information.
I
from the
don't.
Individual,
No.
But there were reports sent that had all of the trend lines and it had all of the data, and I had Carrie.
That's
send it,
correct.
And I had her send it, and then I was copied.
But what I requested were addresses, okay, dates, I believe, of the loan, when the loans are made. That type of information should be available on a private, quote-unquote, basis to us, but we're not getting it,
Commissioner,
okay?
I'll have to talk to Carrie Reed about what's considered private and what's not considered private. You know, when things come to commissioners, there's also the issue of FOIA in regard to how this data can be, Freedom of Information Act, so we gotta be very careful. I don't know what the rules of HUD are, I personally don't, but we will find that out. We'll find out what data is available and what's not.
HUD, I believe, says you can't tell the name of the person, and that is mostly for Social Security benefits. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, if Terry, you're going to see if Terry can.
Economic development and Carrie Reed.
Yeah, so, okay, Commissioner Woodward.
So I have to respond, usually on this topic. Like, I am not interested at all in doing any shaming of people who are poor, period. No, look, so with all due respect, Kelly, I think here's the reality. It's not just social security number, it's privacy, and people deserve privacy. Now, our economic development team does an incredible, and I encourage any one of us who has question about the due diligence that goes through with our team to look, to try to make a determination where to use these resources. And they've got two goals. One, to save, make sure that the property doesn't fall into disrepair, and two, to support stabilization of the neighborhood. When we look at the total amount here, is a percentage of the entire investment in community development dollars to upgrade, improve homes, roofs, make basic improvements so that these homes not only remain habitable, but so that the neighborhood doesn't deteriorate. It is a very small percent of business. If you look at the financial institution, and I serve on a financial institutions board, that our percentage of loan loss is nothing compared to the private sector. You cannot squeeze blood out of a turnip. There is, these are properties, based on the conversations with Carrie and the team and everything, that there is no money, yet alone equity in these properties to be able to address this. And so, from our financial perspective, you can't just keep this on your books, and you've got to make a determination at some point. And I believe that every effort, and I think Carrie has said it, I think we've had this conversation where every effort to try to collect on this has been done. I am not in the business, nor should I be in the business, to grab an address and start knocking on doors and engaging in poor shaming. The recession took wealth away from middle class, working class, and lower income individuals at a rate that we had not seen since the Great Depression. And that's where we are, and it's how do we come up with the terms to be able to do this? The suggestion, and I don't think you're saying this, Shelley, but what I'm afraid that people listening to this might be hearing is shady loan lending is going on. And that is not the case. Nothing could be further from the truth in terms of the investment, the qualification regimen that's required, the auditing from HUD to make sure that requirement, to make sure that we're in compliance. And just because other communities are not in compliance with the privacy rules that HUD dictates of the money that we take in to lend out is not the standard I want to be rising to. We should have been doing this a long time ago. We've made the correction, and as a result, that our properties and our neighborhoods held up through the Great Recession virtually better than any in the surrounding area. And we still have concentrated poverty. We still have people who are struggling every single day to make ends meet. But this program has literally improved the lives of people. And maybe even more importantly, from an aggregate and kind of a 30,000-foot perspective, is help stabilize neighborhoods that have a very low tax base to start with. And so, anything disparaging that suggests that this division has done something wrong or something is inappropriate I think wrong. And I think we have to come to terms that, 100% loan, to your question, like, well, why don't we just grant out the dollars? Well, we built a loan program to stretch these dollars as far as possible. And you know what? When you're lending money, there's a percentage of risk. We talked about risk assessment. You have to plan some loan default in that anytime you're lending down, just like anyone else does. And the percentage that we're talking about is so relatively small to the full amount of money that we've lent out in a year, yet alone over the entire program.
I have Commissioner Zach. Todd will be for a second time, but Commissioner Zach for the first time on the issue.
No, it's second time.
Oh, you've been a second time also?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll let Todd go ahead then.
Okay, Dave, I agree with everything you said.
Yay.
However, the one thing that wasn't mentioned is this is a revolving fund. So the idea of this fund is I loan some money out to somebody, and eventually it comes back when they sell their home or sell their property, and that's a good thing. And it does keep neighborhoods stable. And I don't want to go knocking on somebody's door, okay? That's number one. I think, and I've said over and over, that the policy has to be changed, whether it's changed here or changed by HUD. I don't want grandma out in the street. I don't want people with 3 or 4 kids having to scramble once somebody lost a job. That's not the point. I want neighborhoods to be made whole. But I also want the information, okay, that we used to get. I'm not knocking on doors. I want to change the policy, whether it has to be changed in Oakland County or at the state or at the federal government. I don't care what. Give the people the money, and let's say we're giving it to them because they'll never be able to pay it back. Or the other side of the coin is we used to, years ago, collect a modest payment, monthly payment, but it got to be very difficult because nothing was computerized. So, you're chasing down paper looking for who you gave the money to. Maybe someone ought to have some skin in the game. I don't know. Maybe they can't afford to. That's okay too. But this is a revolving fund. Yeah, I get it. Banks take a bigger risk, but banks make more money, okay? I understand that part as well. And I understand that banks would be thrilled with a 2% loss. I get that part too. It would be wonderful to get everybody to make their house payments and no one goes bankrupt or whatever. But this is a revolving fund. And eventually, if every quarter you write off about $1 million, we got $60 million in there, folks. Do the math. How soon before we don't have money to loan out to people who, or to give, or whatever we choose to do, to people who truly, truly need it, to keep the neighborhoods up, to keep the communities up, to keep this county whole. So I understand about the Great Recession. It wasn't a Great Recession, it was a depression, quite frankly. And I will say this over and over again. I get it. I understand it. It's the process that I'm concerned about. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Commissioner Zach for a second time.
So I totally agree with everything that Dave Woodward said. And I represent a lot of the communities that are on this list and the people I serve. And so I was trying to understand as a trend, and feel that our department runs a great ship, just trying to understand how they end up on this list, and that was my intent. What have we been done? Are these upside down houses? Just so I get a better picture.
And commissioners, that's exactly what I think Carrie would be able to share with you. We've actually condensed this into writing because of Commissioner Todd's request. The process is very detailed. They have put new controls in place to try to tighten up as well the collection of these loans. But again, and know Lynn was gonna say this, but I'm gonna say it right now, we're also like 4th or 5th on the lean. You know, this is not like we're, you know, so you talk about banks taking a bigger risk. They have a lesser risk. They're the primary lien. So when a house gets sold, they're getting their money. We may not get that. So
Taxes first, special assessments, primary mortgage, secondary mortgages.
yeah, so you understand is that there's nothing there. But I think Carrie should come and explain that to all of you. So let me talk to her. We'll set up a schedule where she can come to the finance committee and explain the process. Commissioner Tall, your concern about the process going forward, I don't know what level it sits at. I don't know if it sits at the federal level or the state level or whatever it may be. I do believe the community economic, or the economic development department is doing a great job managing the program. They're doing everything they can. Just the data is the data. So I will have Carrie schedule a time and I'll have her come in and say hello.
Okay. Any other questions for Lynn? If not, call the roll on item number 14.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Is there anything else to come before the Finance Committee today? If not, without objection, I declare the meeting adjourned.